Hey everyone, this is another BookTube channel. Today I'll be showing you the oldest comic books in my collection. I did a companion video to this, which should be up already, about the oldest books in my collection, so if you're interested in that, check it out. I've been collecting comic books for about 10 years now. I started off just collecting the newer comics that were coming out weekly, and I eventually got into collecting older back issues and rarer keys and first appearances, stuff like that, a while back. I've got a pretty impressive collection. Not gonna be the best one you've ever seen. I'm not a millionaire. I can't afford Captain America Comics #1, but I do have some pretty cool stuff. And I just thought it would be fun, considering I did the old book video. I figured why not do an old comic video as well. The latest book that you're going to see here is from 1964. I do have a bunch of books from 1964. I didn't want this video to be forever long and redundant, so I'm only just going to show a couple of the ones that I like the most, and then we'll just work our way back from there. So starting in 1964, this is actually a magazine, and it is Creepy #1. I love the old Warren magazines, Creepy, Eerie, and Vampirella. These were horror comics that were in a magazine format, so that they can get away with more risque content than you could do in comic books at the time. Creepy was the flagship title, or rather probably the first title in that comic series. I know that Warren had other things like Famous Monsters of Filmland, but this was really their first foray into these comics. And I just love this book. I love this cover by Jack Davis. There's also a Frank Frazetta story in here, like a complete story by Frank Frazetta, which you don't see a lot. I believe it was the last one he ever did, the last full story he ever did in comics. So, Creepy #1, pretty cool. Okay, next up in 1963, I have Amazing Spider-Man #5. I hope there's not a huge glare here. As you can see, this is a comic that is encased in plastic. It's graded by CGC. If you're not a comic book fan, grading is something that started off as a fun way and cool way to preserve older comics, as well as assigning a numerical grade to them based on their condition, so that if you were reselling them, it was kind of a safe way for the buyer and seller to accurately price it. Now grading is more of just a big scam, and I hate CGC and I hate CBCS and I hate all those companies, and they're never going to get another dollar from me. That's a story for another day. But this is the earliest Spider-Man that I own. I'm not really a huge Spider-Man collection, honestly. I'm not a huge Spider-Man collector, honestly. But I have this one because I'm a big Fantastic Four collector, and this is the first Doctor Doom appearance outside of the Fantastic Four. So this was a really cool one to add to my collection. It's got a green label up here because it is missing a coupon, which doesn't affect the story. To some buyers, that diminishes the value of the book. I couldn't care less about a missing coupon. It's still a cool book. It's still from 1963. It's still the first Doctor Doom outside of Fantastic Four. So I wanted it. I got it for cheaper than you would pay for a blue label. So I'm happy to have it. While I'm watching this back in editing, if I'm noticing there's a huge amount of glare on these plastic cases, I'll just put up pictures of the book itself so that you can see what it is. So apologies if that's the case. Next up, in 1963, this came out a month before the book I just showed, according to the little indicia here, and that is Avengers #1. This is what it sounds like. This is the first Avengers comic book, the first team-up of Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, Ant-Man, and the Wasp. Captain America would join the team in issue 4. Hulk would leave the team in issue 2. And their first villain would be Loki that they fought against. This is a 2.5 copy. I bought this a few years ago, right before it exploded, thankfully, so I was able to get this for a pretty good price. I really wanted this one. I just think the Avengers is so culturally important now, even though I'm not a huge fan of the MCU anymore. It's no denying the importance of these characters on pop culture right now. So this was a book that I just really wanted for my collection. Was really happy to get. All right, going into 1962 now. Here is Fantastic Four number 2. I love the Fantastic Four. They are my favorite Marvel superheroes from that Silver Age time, from the early, like the birth of Marvel. This is my favorite Jack Kirby comic, and he's my favorite, comic artist pretty much ever. He is the king. Stan Lee also wrote the story, but whatever. This is going to be the earliest FF that I ever own. Fantastic Four number 1. An entry-level copy runs like $15,000 now, which I cannot justify spending that money. I mean, I guess I could technically afford it if I wanted to deplete my savings substantially. But this came up. I got an opportunity to get this, and I leaped at it because I just love the Fantastic Four. Like I said, they're my favorite superheroes from the Marvel Silver Age. And I own a lot of Fantastic Four books. Like I own a Fantastic Four number 3 and a 7 and a 9 and a 10 and so on and so on. But I didn't want this video to be redundant and just show you sequentially all the Fantastic Fours that I own. So I'm just showing you the earliest one here. This is also a 2.5. I don't mind low grades because it's the history of the book that's important to me, not the monetary resale value one day, because I don't intend to sell these. All right, so leaving the 60s now, going into the 50s from 1958. This is Showcase number 17, the first appearance of Adam Strange. This also launched DC's Strange Adventures series pretty much. Just a quick correction here while I'm editing this. Adam Strange did not launch the Strange Adventures title. That had been going on for a while. I think what I was trying to say here was that after this, he became like the main character of the Mystery in Space title. So that's what I meant. I was just speaking too quickly and tiredly. This is the first appearance of Adam and his romantic interest, Alana. I love Adam Strange. I really got my first exposure to him with the Tom King Strange Adventures series. That was my first big exposure to it. And I love that series. I love Tom King. I really wanted this book. This is a book you don't see a lot, like at conventions or pop up on eBay. I love this book. It's a 4.0. It is trimmed, which means like someone took the top and bottom edges and just kind of evened them out. I don't care about that. It's the book that's important to me. And this is a rare book. It's hard to find, so very cool. Very happy to own this one. Next up is another Showcase book. This is Showcase number 6, the first appearance of the Challengers of the Unknown. This is a Jack Kirby book. This is a Jack Kirby DC book. It predates his most known work at Marvel. He was working at Marvel on like the monster titles, but this is before Fantastic Four. This is before any of the Avengers stuff was coming out. The Challengers of the Unknown is kind of a prototype for the Fantastic Four as well. It's a team of 4 guys who are just kind of daredevils, and they just take on these crazy adventures and missions that other people won't dare do. And they just, I don't know. I mean, they do it for the thrill of it. And it's really fun. It's a fun series. And this is, again, another book you don't see a lot. So when the opportunity came, even though it's very low grade, I jumped on it. Okay, coming to 1955 now. This is Weird Science Fantasy number 29. This book I bought entirely because this is maybe the greatest cover ever in a comic, in my opinion. This is a drawing by Frank Frazetta, who is absolutely fantastic. The pen and ink work on this cover is absolutely unbelievable. I'm going to try to find a black and white version of this to just put up here, so you can just see how many just marks are on this page and how beautiful and fluid this image is. This book is sought after entirely because of this cover. It's probably got some good interior stories as well. It's got interior stories by Al Williamson, Wally Wood, Reed Crandall, and Joe Orlando. So, I mean, those are all incredible names, but really, it's the Frazetta cover that is the draw here. All right, got to try to pick up the pace a little bit. From 1954, this is Witch's Tales number 25, classic decapitation cover. I own a handful of Witch's Tales books. This is one of the later ones in the series. The reason I chose to show this one is because it is the most sought after book in the series because of this cover. It's a really hard book to find, and I just love it. So this one I literally just want to show off. Okay, 1952, we've got Chamber of Chills number 13. I got into pre-code horror somewhat recently, and it's a very expensive subgenre of this hobby. So I don't have a ton of pre-code horror books. This is one of them that I picked up at New York Comic Con a couple years ago. I love the cover on this one. I think it's a Lee Elias cover. I want to double check that, and if I need to correct myself, I'll put it here. But yeah, love pre-code horror. This is a really cool one. All right, another pre-code horror book, 1951. This is Witch's Tales number 1. This was a birthday gift from my wife. She's wonderful. And she actually got this from my local comic shop, JHU Comics on Staten Island. If you're local or near there, check them out. They're awesome. Tell them I sent you. All right, we're getting near the end here, and these next 3 books are all from the same series. And they are some of my favorite books in my collection. They're just really awesome artifacts, and I like them a lot. So the first one of them is Batman 50. This is not any first appearance or anything, but it's an awesome Two-Face cover. I mean, just look at that. It's from 1949. It is, unfortunately, the wrap is detached, so the front and back covers are detached at the staple. But that's fine. Again, I don't care. I'm not exactly taking this out to read it every day, so I'm totally okay with that. The next one in this set is Batman number 42. This one is probably my favorite of the set, honestly. This is the first time Catwoman appears on the cover of a Batman title. Of the Batman title, sorry. Because she does appear on the cover of Detective Comics prior to this. But this is her first cover appearance on the Batman title, and this is my favorite of her early cover appearances, because look at how awesome that is, where they're pulling up the page and she's hiding underneath there. Like, this is awesome. This book was super affordable because it's missing the back cover. I don't care about the back cover, I care about the front cover, because look at how awesome it is. So, again, these old books, don't be precious about them. If they're missing a cover, if they're missing a coupon, just get it. You know, who cares? It's history. Own a piece of history. It's awesome. And finally, that one's from 1947. This next one is from 1945. This is my earliest Batman. This is Batman number 31. First appearance of Punch and Judy. They're not really like popular characters, but technically, you know, that's what people will call it, collectors will call it, first appearance of Punch and Judy. It's also got this really cool Infinity cover, the Infinity logo. Really just nice one. This is another one. This was another birthday gift, actually, from my wife from a different year. Also from JHU Comic Books. So, really, really cool item. This is the oldest comic book in my collection. I do have one more book for this list, but it is a magazine. So this is technically oldest comic in my collection. And finally, the oldest magazine in my collection from 1942. This is the Film Fun Annual. Film Fun was like a magazine, I believe, of just like pinups and I guess some film-related content, but mostly it was some cartoons and a bunch of pinups, pinup pictures. I found this in a thrift shop in, I think this was Pearl River, New Jersey. I'm pretty sure, and it was $2. And I said, yeah, I'll take that for $2, sure. It's really cool, some really great, fun, old, like cheesecake art. So yeah, this is just a really cool one. So that's it. Those are the oldest comics and magazines in my collection. I do have a comic book Instagram page called @Chooch's Comics. I'll put that here. So if you have a comic page on Instagram as well, feel free to follow me there. You can also follow my booktube Instagram @AnotherBookTuber. Let me know what your oldest comics in your collections are. Send me pictures of them on Instagram. I would love to see them. Thank you for spending some time with me today, but now it's time to get back to reading.